Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you have a great and wonderful day. And it seems that we have some more questionable things on why we label these people as child grabbers. Why they are only after the children, and they're probably the child grabber people in hiding. We have this here, ladies and gentlemen. We have a Batman researcher said gay in a talk to students when asked to censor himself, he quit. So we have Mark Tyler Nobleman was supposed to talk to kids about the secret co-creator of Batman, with the aim of inspiring young students in suburban Atlanta's Force County to research and write. Then the school district told him he had to cut a key point from his presentation, that the artist he helped rescue from obscurity had a gay son. Rather than ask who says, I think that's how you pronounce that. I apologize if I pronounce it horribly wrong. He canceled the last of his talks. We're going past the point where we should be policing people talk about who they love, Nobleson said in a telephone interview. And that's what I'm hoping what will happen in this community. State laws restricting talk of sexual orientation and gender identity in schools have proliferated in recent years, but the clash with Nobleman shows schools may be limiting such discussions even in states like Georgia that haven't officially banned them. Some proponents of broader laws giving parents more control over schools argue they extended discussion of sex and gender even if the statutes don't explicitly cover them. The way I see it here as well is that kind of like that led to this whole situation to begin with is when we started doing things like sex ed in school, and I don't think that should even be remotely allowed in schools at all. Period. It should be between the parent and the child that will talk about those things to begin with. Of course, this is a hilarious clip of King of the Hill where Peggy and Hank have a problem talking about the actual sex and stuff like that, which is hilarious in its own form. But again, we need to teach kids, our own kids, about the birds and the bees and what happens when it does this. And from the most part, I don't think it takes very much of at a certain age the kids start to automatically learn on what that stuff is. Now you have some sheltered or closeted children that may not know this, but from where I was going in school and when I was growing up, this was a commonplace and a normal thing to understand. And I don't think that we need these sex ed classes in school at all, period. It is a net negative, in my opinion. And then you breed people like this that will try to push this type of agenda out. So, there you have it. This is my opinion on the matter. 11 states ban discussion of LGBTQ people in at least some public schools in what are often called Don't Say Gay laws. According to the Movement Advancement Project, an LGBTQ rights think tank, 5 additional states require parental consent for discussion, according to the project. Legislation restricting LGBTQ rights gained steam this year, but suppression is not new. A school district in New Jersey, which requires curriculums to be LGBTQ inclusive, tried to bar a valedictorian from discussing his queer identity during a graduation speech in 2021. That year, a federal judge ordered an Indiana district to give the same privilege to a gay-straight alliance as to other extracurricular groups. 2 years, Indiana passed a law banning discussion of LGBTQ people in grades K through 3. Exactly, that's what it should be. I don't think that topic should be discussed at all in school. It should be strictly talked about. I think that it should only be talked about is your studies, and that's it. Anything that is related to anything sexual in nature at all, even comes down to the sex ed stuff, should not be allowed, because now you're having these people that is giving them a reason, and these child grabbers to go out and do this type of stuff, and it really is breeding a ground of people that want to get access to your children for nefarious reasons than actually teaching your children how to learn and go through society. Schools nationwide have been challenged on books with LGBTQ themes or characters, and many removed them, including Forsyth County, which has been a battleground in the politics of schooling. LGBTQ advocates say Nobleman bumped up against a moral panic fomented by conservatives seeking to roll back acceptance. The idea that these folks are saying that they just don't want to talk about it all is very degenerate, said Caitlin Oakley, a lawyer from the Human Rights Campaign, a leading advocacy group. What they mean is that they don't want views others and theirs to be expressed, and they believe that that means everyone should have to hear what they believe. I don't think that's a problem. I think if you are in any remotely type of college discussion where you're an adult and you're not influencing kids onto your other stuff, I think that that be as it may, that should be okay. It's the problem where you are trying to influence children about negative and nefarious things, such as sexual in nature, and that's where we have a problem with it. This is what we call grooming, and there are certain right things for grooming, and one of these things that I think that is negative is grooming children to become more sexually active. I mean, we already have a nefarious hookup culture to where people just go out and bang the bang and just don't really do much of and that's just the culture now, and that's disgusting. We should probably set a higher standard for our people, for our country people, so that they're not going out and doing this. And I'll be honest, I mean, teens are going to go do what they're going to do, but trying to enforce and promote it is a huge problem, and that's what they're trying to do here. They're trying to pretty much say, oh, no, this is okay. We can teach kids about all this sexual activity stuff, or it's okay to talk about kids about, gay people or whatever. It's like, the less you talk about these things, the less the people are going to really care about it in the first place. Most people do not care about what happens in terms of what gay people really do. They just don't want these gay people beliefs or their influence to be pushed onto their children, which is completely understandable. The same thing to where I would not push me being straight onto other people exactly. That's just not what I would do. If they're gay, they just happen to be gay. That's just it. But what they're trying to do is just try to push a gay agenda and all this other stuff onto kids, which is not okay. Nobleman himself describes superhero geek who lives in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. is best known as the author of Bill the Boy Wonder, the secret co-creator of Batman. It lays out the story of Bill Finger, the long uncredited author who helped create Batman and author comic book characters. So, yeah, all this stuff. But Nobleman discovered Fred Finger had a daughter, Athena Finger, that he said is a showcase moment of the presentation he estimates he has given 1,000 times at school. And so forth. So, yeah, this is what's been going on here that is the biggest problem that we have with, all this stuff. It says, in the past 3 years, concerns in the 54,000 student district have tried to tamp down diversity policies and sexually explicit books they view as immoral. So, yeah, this is kind of like the thing that is been going on here. And all that. We have this as well, that in the Fort Worth County, the author gave his first presentation at Sharon Elementary on August 21st. After Nobleman mentioned in his first talk that Fred Finger was gay, the principal handed him a note during his second talk that said, please only share the appropriate parts of the story for our elementary students. Exactly. And that's just the way it is. This is not such a matter that we are aware that he was including content that we have approved for our students. Principal Brian Nelson wrote, I apologize that this took place. Action was taken to ensure that this was not included in Mr. Nobleman's subsequent speeches, and further measures will be taken to prevent situations like this in the future. Good on you, Principal Brian Nelson. 100%. I support your actual decision here. He says, and so, on the third day he was presenting, after a discussion with the directed officials, Nobleman refused to give the last two of his scheduled presentations if required to omit Finger's sexual orientation. Many Bears have applauded for his actions. Clara Colico said, Cindy Martin, Clay Chair of the Mama Bears, said Nobleman shouldn't be ashamed of himself. She argues that a 2022 Georgia law bans discussions of sexuality without parental consent for any minor because it gives parents the right to direct upbringing and its moral or religious training of their children. No one has the right to talk to a child about sexuality unless it's the parent, or the parent has given permission, Martin said. Mr. Nobleman did not have permission, so he went against Georgia law. And another thing, too, is that he should honestly be arrested. If he's going against law and, not obtaining to the actual law itself, then he should be arrested 100%. And I want to support this. We need to actually put some harsh lockdowns and crackdowns on these people. And if they break the law, then they should 100% be arrested for an X period amount of time. Obviously, it needs to be rightfully so. I think if you're doing anything sexual in nature and you're talking to kids, it should be a minimum of like 3 to 5 years at average. Matt Maguire, Sharon elementary parent who had a daughter who attended one of Nobleman's presentations, said he was disappointed by the message and felt the school district was being bullied by Martin and others into reactionary censorship. The mere mention of the word gay didn't merit claims made online by critics that Nobleman was grooming or sexualizing children, he said, and it ignored that some Sharon elementary students have gay parents. It didn't sit right with me. It made me feel like certain parts of our community were being kept as a dirty secret, Maguire said. I couldn't imagine coming from a family with gay members and reading that apology just for saying the word gay. I don't think it has anything to do with that. It has a lot to do with you trying to enforce your agenda onto other people. And that's the biggest problem here, is that people just do not want their kids having these people's agenda forced upon them. But I hope this is a first step forward into banning pretty much any sexual material at all from school when it comes down to sex ed and stuff like that. I personally want all this banned, honestly. That's what I want. I want all this banned. I don't want any sex ed or anything allowed in schools, and then maybe we can move on to a society that is better. I mean, the only reason why we're having people may claim that it's like, oh, well, it helps prevent births. Well, I don't think it really does, especially with me growing up, going around. I think everybody knew about what that is by the time they're either in high school or below. It's not really that surprising. So I'm glad that this took the right path, and I'm hoping this moves on to forward better things happening across the nation. All right, guys, that's it for the video, guys. Like, share. As always, take care.